obviously congratulations, and it's a pleasure to finally meet you. It's a pleasure to be talking with you, and thank you for doing this. I really appreciate it.
Of course, really looking to forward to the opportunity, and just gonna enjoy being home, but still be around baseball.
Right. Absolutely. Like we'll get right into that. Being from Morgantown, West Virginia, and being playing baseball here your whole life, pretty much. What does it mean to you to come here and be a coach for your home state?
Honestly, it means the world, especially getting to be around people that supported me growing up from the time I was in little league, into high school, into college, and then obviously beyond that into the professional ranks. Getting to have that type of support, being in my home state, it's really important to me, to try and give back to people that did so much for me, and to get an opportunity to be around some guys that have the ability to go and pursue the same dream that I had. And if I can have any type of positive impact, in that manner, I really look forward to trying to help those guys out as much as I can.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's everything the MLB Draft League is implemented around just making sure these guys have a system to be in and get these looks at. So, what sort of things would you be implementing with your coaching style and with these young players coming aboard?
Honestly, I just try to take from the experience that I had. Obviously, throughout my career, I had the blessing and the curse of having good coaching and bad coaching. So I try to take a little bit from each of that and understand things that I really want to try and implement versus things I want to try and stay away from. So you want to create a good, positive atmosphere that guys feel free, that they can ask questions, they can learn, that they can try and work on things to get better. Because obviously that's what it's for. It's a showcase for the first 30 games. And then the 50 after that is an opportunity for guys to continue to have the dream of professional baseball, to hope that they get an opportunity to go and play within another professional rank, whether it be for an Atlantic League, for a Frontier League, or possibly get picked up by a major league affiliate.
Right. We'll get into your professional career in a little bit, but I wanted to get you recently were the pitching coach at Fairmont State. What sort of things did you learn about your coaching style there?
Honestly, it was just kind of one of those deals where I had to really find my own coaching style. Again, I had drawn off some coaching experience that I had had from guys that had coached me, and really tried to implement a lot of the positive aspects of that to help guys, especially at the D2 level, that are trying to, again, they're trying to ascend and get their opportunities, not only at that D2 level, but hopefully beyond. So you try to maximize their potential. You try to show them a different way of doing things to allow them to be more successful. And that's what I try and base things on, is just taking what a guy has and just blossoming around that.
Yeah, awesome. So what sort of things are you looking forward to coming and playing, like not only watching these young stars play at Monongalia County Ballpark, like what sort of things are you looking forward to as like in the atmosphere and like in the state of West Virginia again?
Okay, there's nothing more exciting than being around people from this state. There's a different passion that we have grown up with. Obviously, growing up a West Virginia fan, that's the closest thing to a professional sport that we had in the state for the longest time, aside from the Alley Cats down in Charleston, which turned into the West Virginia Power, and there were a couple rookie ball teams uh, down in Princeton and down in Bluefield. But it was a little bit different, especially being there in Morgantown. It had a professional atmosphere, but people were so bought in, whether it was basketball, whether it was football, baseball is really getting some traction, the soccer programs, all that type of stuff. People are really drawn to that area and drawn to getting a chance to be, involved within the sports. I'm really looking forward to, people coming to the ballpark, enjoying their experience, just getting to, provide a good atmosphere, not only for the players, but for the fan base, so they can really get excited about something and then influence the next generation of players that are going to be coming to the ballpark to watch.
Yeah, that's exactly it. When it's really easy for the crowd to get behind, especially a coach from the state, and I've seen it firsthand with Jed coming. You'll be taking the reins from Jed, who just previously won the championship, took the guys there last year, and they beat it out. So, what sort of things do you think Jed did well that you can do?
I mean, obviously, he brings a professional experience to, to the ballpark. He was able to have a lot of success in his career, experienced a lot of really high highs. He experienced a few lows here and there, but the thing was, I've known Jed for a long time. Jed was a senior in high school when I was finishing up my career at W.Va. So we have run into each other, been around each other, trained with each other quite a bit at Pro Performance whenever we were, within the professional ranks. So getting to see him have that type of success, within his first 2 years was really, really cool. So he set the bar pretty high as far as trying to definitely acquire wins and everything. So hopefully I can uphold that standard and work to improve in a few areas to try and just like I said before, have a good positive impact on the guys that are going to be coming in.
Mm-hmm. So your transition, not a lot of players can say that they've had this happen to them. Your transition from catcher to pitcher. So can you just take me to how that like it was the Cardinals that brought it to you in the first place, right?
Yes, sir. Yeah, the so the transition kind of happened. We'll say it against my will, but it was one of those things that at the time um, I was pretty sour about it. I had spent a lot of time, a lot of effort into trying to perfect that craft of being a really good catcher, working on hitting, and just trying to give myself an opportunity to move up within, to the big league ranks. But there was a certain potential, well, we'll just call him a first ballot Hall of Famer that was kind of blocking the way in Yadier Molina. The guy was pretty daggone good for a really, really long time. So I had him as a roadblock in front of me. So they basically came to me and said, "Hey, you throw the ball really well. We've had, been successful with the transition of another former catcher with Jason Mott, who I had actually caught my first year in pro ball, and they decided to make the same transition with me. I was obviously against it for quite a while, so it was one of those things I really had to battle through. I remember talking with my dad about it, and I told him, I said, I remember telling you when I was 7 years old that I wanted to be a Major League Baseball player. Didn't say catcher, didn't say hitter, didn't get position specific at the time. So that was one of those things I had to remind myself. Well, if I'm getting an opportunity to put on this uniform and go and compete at the highest level, I'm going to still do it. So I put my mind to it. Was able to seek out help from different people within making the transition. Jason being one of those guys. I got the opportunity to work with guys like Derek Lilliquist, who was a pitching coach for a number of organizations. NL Cy Young Award winner Chris Carpenter, Jason Isringhausen, who has 300 saves, and another guy, a local guy actually from just up the road in Pennsylvania, and Josh Kinney. Those guys, made a huge impact on my career early within the pitching aspect and showed me how to be professional, how to go about things on a daily basis. I'm really thankful for that example that they set. That allowed me to go and have a successful career throwing the baseball for a living.
So do you believe that I can't imagine that's an easy transition, as you said, and a little sour about it. So do you believe that experience playing both positions, especially at that level, will have any benefit on your coaching?
I have no doubt that it will. It's one of those things that I really took a lot of the experience that I had behind the plate and was able to apply that to the mound. Basically being behind the plate, you're seeing everything that is created on the field, whether it be a pitcher trying to work on certain things within their delivery to be able to execute pitches in certain situations. You see how plays develop as far as, with base runners, with infield shifts and things of that nature. You're able to kind of dissect how things need to be, where guys need to be in certain positions, whereas a hitter, you're able to identify, hand positions if they're, a scenario where a bunt might happen, or if they're trying to work on a certain side of the field to move a runner or try to score a runner. There's all these different scenarios that play out, and especially being a catcher, you can really analyze those. Whereas when you're pitching, you're trying to do everything you can to just beat the guy in front of you while hold a runner in check. So there's a lot of these aspects that kind of go together. So I can try to teach that to this next group of guys that I'm going to get. But, thankfully, I'm going to end up having some help for some guys that have also had some pretty good experience. So I'm looking forward to picking their brains as well, not just, putting everything that I know into these guys, but also allowing, the staff that I'm having built to really help me out in that aspect.
Yeah, your MLB debut in 2011. I just want to take you back there for it. Like you had it took you a while, obviously. Like that's pretty much for every player's path to the MLB. Just take me back to that feeling and like how did you feel and why it meant so much to you?
I'll tell you, it actually started before the debut. I remember getting the phone call and getting to call my mom and dad, who have been my biggest supporters my entire life, obviously. To get a call and tell them and share that joy with them was incredible. And I'm so thankful for the pitching coach I had at the time, Doug Brokale. Um, I got to the ballpark, and first thing he asked me, he said, "Are your parents able to be here tonight?" I said, "No, I got notified too late. They can't make the flight, driving up to Pittsburgh, trying to fly into Houston." So he actually talked to the manager and said, "Hey, give him a day so that he can kind of get his feet wet, and then we'll have him ready for tomorrow." So that's something I'll never, ever forget, getting to share that with them. But being out in the bullpen and watching Wandy Rodriguez was thrown against the Texas Rangers. He thrown really, really well. Got us through 7 innings, and my buddy Mark Melanson is kind of tapping me. He goes, "Dude, I think you're getting in." I'm like, "No shot." I was like, "We're up a few runs. Like we're not gonna, forfeit, or take a chance on putting a young guy in there." He said, "Dude, I'm telling you, you're going to get in." Sure enough, the phone rings, and my heart just drops. Like it has so many times when I was in the minors. It's just how I got ready to go and compete. So my heart just drops, and I whip my head around, and Jamie Quirk, our bullpen coach, is on the phone, kind of grins, turns and looks at me and goes, "You got it, kid." So I'm jumping up, and I'm just a ball of nerves. And I remember, going through my warm ups. Can't remember if I threw a strike or not, so I'm nervous as can be. But I remember um, walking down the small ramp to our bullpen cop who would hold the gate open for us. His name was Tracy, and tells me, he's a "Good luck, kid." So I go running in there. The only thing I think of is I've got the bill of my hat pulled down just above my eye, so I can't see the upper deck. And I'm running in there, and I'm thinking, "Don't trip. Of the things you can do right now, do not trip right into the mound." So I get in there, I throw my first couple warm up pitches, and I can't see over top of my catcher's like face mask because I've got my hat pulled down so low, trying to just stay focused and concentrate and everything. But I remember facing my first hitter, Craig Gentry. I struck him out on a fastball. Um, and then the next hitter I faced was Zendy Chavez. And I want to say I got him like 2-0, 3-0, 3-1, something like that. Well, he fouls the pitch, or the fouls the ball that I struck out Gentry with, because it had gotten thrown around the infield, and my third baseman was going to throw it into the dugout. I'm young. I was like, "Give me the ball. Let's go." Like we're trying to get through this. So he gives me the ball, and I'm not even thinking about being my first strike. I'm just trying to get the next guy out. Well, the ball gets fouled off. I look up and I see a bunch of people just go chasing after this thing. I'm like, "Wow, it's kind of interesting that many people want to go after that ball," but whatever. So I get Andy to fly out to left, and then I get Ian Kinsler to fly out to right for my first, 1, 2, 3 big league outing. And I remember walking in the dugout, and Brokale's there at the steps to meet me, and he's just holding on to his chest. He goes, he told me, he goes, "I don't think I've ever been that nervous in my life, as nervous as I was for you." And I just started laughing. Like I sit down there, and I'm like, this really just happened. Like it was worth everything I had to go through. It was worth all of the, getting up early, going to work out, WVU, the 5 a.m. lifts, all that kind of stuff. Worth going through the transition of catcher to pitcher. It just was all worth it in that moment. And thankfully, I was able to do that for a number of years, and I'm so thankful I got the opportunity to do that, and thankful for the people that helped me along the way.
Yeah, I would say pitching panned out for sure. Definitely. So what sort of being in a bunch of different clubhouses, which one stuck out to you the most, and what can you do to bring that sort of atmosphere or energy to the Black Bears?
Honestly, the best clubhouse I was ever in was the 2013 Braves. And it had a lot to do with just the players that we had, the type of personalities that we had, how close we were, because we had the group that if one guy was going to lunch, 7 guys were going to lunch. It was one of those things where everybody went and did things together. And that's what pro ball is about. You're developing relationships, because you never know who you're going to play with one year, and then 5, 6, 7 years down the road, you're going to get to play with them again. So you develop this type of rapport with the guys that you are coming up with, the guys that you debut with, and you just have this relationship, because it goes beyond baseball. you're going through the same struggles together. You're being away from your family. You're going through slumps. You're going through stuff with pitching or stuff with hitting or stuff with fielding that you're having a tough time with. But everybody's able to go through that. You lean on each other to help kind of pass that time and get you through those rough points. And that what makes the success that much better is being able to have that type of camaraderie in the clubhouse. And that's really what I want these guys to understand is being a true unit, even though you're from different schools or from different organizations. When you're able to build that, you then branch out and you actually have a better impact on the people around you, and you make the situation so much better.
Yeah, I did see a lot of hugs with Freddie Freeman in my research. So that was really awesome. That's really awesome. Being the primary setup guy for the Braves that year, just take me back to that and like what sort of things were working.
It was honestly a dream season. There was just so many things that went my way that I was very, very fortunate with. I had one of the best catchers I've ever thrown to in Brian McCann, really leading me along and having me understand who I was as a pitcher. I'd been doing that for a couple of years, but I really hadn't had a guy like Brian to really sit down and explain, hey, here's what you've got. Here's the type of guy you need to be. Because I'll never forget, he told me, I'm trying to remember if it was in May. I think it was in May. I'd come in, had a decent outing, kind of got ahead of some guys, but wasn't able to put some guys away early like I should have. And he told me one day, he's like, dude, you got to be a guy that comes in and just absolutely goes at people. He said, you're aggressive. He said, your stuff's good. He said, having you and Craig in the back end, he said, it absolutely ends games. He said, so you need to have that type of mentality. When you come in, everybody's dead. Like if you get strike one on, the at bat's over. I'm like, okay, that's how we're going to do it. So we end up going to face the Nationals in DC, and Mikey Minor was pitching. Well, he gets us through 6 innings really, really well, gets us into the seventh, gives up a leadoff double. I get called into the game, and I face Jason Worth and punch him out on a 97-mile-an-hour fastball. I get Bryce Harper to fly out, and then I get Ian Desmond to just basically break his bat right in front of the plate, and we leave the win or the go-ahead run at second. And as we're running off the field, McCann is just absolutely just going off. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm expecting out of you. And it was like, okay, I had that aha moment. Let's go with this. Like, let's get going. So I was really, really fortunate to have a guy like that really have my back and really kind of push me, but also having a guy like Craig Kimbrell. He was my catch partner every single day, getting to work with him and just understand, what made him great and then kind of piggyback off that. So we were able to kind of bounce things off of each other because we were similar in our mentalities and similar in, obviously he had a better breaking ball than I did, but we used to joke that I threw harder than him. So, but we had a really good relationship and we did really well that year.
That's awesome. So I feel like you are the perfect man for this job. Honestly, I'm ready to run through a brick wall for you in the first place. But not saying that you would ever purposely throw at any batters or anything, but I did catch a video of I believe it was a Rockies game.
Corey Dickerson.
Corey Dickerson, yep. But I just know you're a man who rides for your team, and you'll run through a brick wall for anybody. I can tell that for sure.
Absolutely.
And so I just have one more question, and it's pretty basic. Sure. But what does the sport of baseball mean to you?
Oh shoot. It has a lot of different meanings to me. To me, the sport of baseball it's a dad and a son sport. That's where I grew to love it, was being in the front yard with my dad, waiting on him to come home from work with both of our gloves and a ball to play catch. It's all about learning. It's about sacrifice. It's about pursuing a passion. So there are so many different things that come to mind with that, but I would say it's a family thing. It's a family game. Especially for me, because I was so fortunate to have my parents at a lot of my games. From the time I was a young kid all the way up until college, my dad missed 2 games and my mom missed 1. Like that to me, it's a family thing. And that's something I really want to stress, not only to these guys, like when you're out there playing, like obviously you play for the name on the front, but you bust your butt for the name on the back, for the people that sacrifice to give you the opportunity to be there. And you honor them to the best of your ability. Whether you make it to the big leagues or not, if you're out there and you represent your family the best you can, you're considered a success.
That's awesome. Thank you so much, Carp. It was a pleasure meeting you. And once
Absolutely.
again, on behalf of everybody in the offices, congratulations. I can't wait for you to get started. And thank you so much for doing this. I really appreciate it.